formulated his theory based on his preliminary observations of dropping spaghetti, and he identified that the mechanism of failure is in wave propagation. He also identified a critical angle of hitting the floor based on falling velocity and geometry considerations of the spaghetti. For his experiment, he investigated the effects of angle and spaghetti length, and he obtained a critical angle identified a region for no failure, and found that is roughly consistent with his theory. And for length, he identified a relation between angle and length. He also used big spaghetti to increase condition for failure, which I think is quite innovative because it makes his experiment much easier to conduct because you need to drop from a much lower height. For his results and conclusions, he got a final unifying equation for the fracture of spaghetti based on his empirical results for length, as well as his critical angle for angle. Moving on to his strengths, I think it is good that he clearly identified the parameters affecting the critical conditions of failure very early in the report. And it's also very analytical, and it's only based on geometrical considerations. So he managed to simplify it to a quantitative theory by removing drag, which greatly simplifies it. And he also is also good because since it's only based on geometry, right, he can actually extend it to other materials of spaghetti that he didn't investigate. And he shows a clear understanding and identification of how exactly spaghetti fractures from his slow motion video taken in his preliminary observations. He clearly observed waves, and he links the velocity to the force on the spaghetti, which is actually what causes the breaking in the spaghetti. For his experiment, it's good that he identifies the effect of contact angles due in his preliminary observations. And he identified a final inequality for the condition of fracture based on his experimental results. It's also good that he modeled his experiments based on the parameters in his theory to confirm it. And it is good that he modified the spaghetti to increase his experiment ease. For his weaknesses, I think it's bad that he considered a fixed pivot on the spaghetti when sliding may actually occur, which the opponent mentioned but he didn't elaborate on. And he also got empirical coefficients for the inequality for fracture, and is actually quite a low predictive power. He also obtained deterministic equations for probability, but his observations show and his results show that it's quite probabilistic. I think that he didn't fully investigate the effects of baking on the spaghetti and how it will affect his results, and where exactly in the strand it will break. Because we see that it curves and it breaks, and in slide 5, he didn't identify where exactly it will break. For his experiment, he got 11 data points, which may lead to a high uncertainty. The thickness of the spaghetti and the material are not mentioned, and he can read the rest. For the opponent, he identified that only one form of breaking is considered, which is good. He identified the non-probabilistic nature. He identified that the actual mechanism is not really explained, and the upward wave. And he discussed how various parameters affected breaking. But he didn't question the effect of baking, what exactly happens in the microscopic level in the spaghetti, and he didn't really focus on experiment. Most of it was on his theory, and he also didn't focus on the results and the interpretation of the results. And he also didn't offer his own opinion. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so good morning, and I'm here to conclude this great physics fight, and I thank our opponents and reviewers for giving us such great advice. And first of all, I would like to emphasize on some points. The first one is the critical force. Actually, we have, as we have seen in the autos. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So as you have seen, we have gotten experimental maximum force of bending, which is a critical force. by experimentally testing it on a weight. And actually, we have this equation, right? So we have calculated a critical force, and it is about 12 grams. And the baked one we have the critical force is 13. So we could say that our theory could be actually pretty close to the actual situation. And okay, the next part we want to emphasize is that the braking occurs at the maximum curvature, as we have explained. So basically, it's on one point when there's not a lot of wave forming, and it's a lot of discussion, so we're not going to explain it here. And the sliding part is actually insignificant because during our discussion, the main point affecting this phenomenon is a horizontal force. So the sliding is actually insignificant. And about the probability, if we control all the parameters, we could actually reduce the reliance on the probability. And for the baking part, we tried baking because we want to increase our braking rate. And thank you. Thank you all.
Now questions.
Okay, I've got a question. This phenomena is deterministic or stochastic? The falling of the spaghetti and the breaking of the spaghetti.
Excuse me?
The falling of the spaghetti and breaking is the deterministic phenomena or stochastic?
Sorry?
Stochastic.
Is there any randomness inside?
Random, yes. It is.
Yes, it still occurs because each spaghetti has a little bit of difference. Yes, it still has a little bit of randomness, but the value stays around a certain value. But this randomness may be caused by the materials that we have used, because all materials have errors, right? All apparatus have error, so it may just be the error causing the randomness.
Okay, opponent. This is the deterministic or stochastic?
Well, I will state this is stochastic phenomenon because there is very great randomness in this effect, and I think that there must be some kind of distribution of the probability of breaking of spaghetti depending on the parameters mentioned by the porter.
Yes, this is a stochastic, and I think that in the stochastic.
Okay, could you show me your graph? There was the dependence between the critical angle and the critical velocity.
This one? No.
Yeah. For instance.
Or do you want the equation?
No, the graph. So no. This was a good one. So come back.
This?
Okay, never mind. One of these.
Okay.
Okay, this one is nice. Okay. So I just wanted to ask. Okay, so this is a kind of threshold here. It means that with greater velocity it will break, and with smaller it will not break.
Yes.
My question is, if we place ourselves somewhere here, let's say, so what will be? So no spaghetti will break, or more than 30% of spaghetti won't break, or so what would you state? Let's say if I point down to this point, what would be, according to your experience or knowledge, the percentage of the spaghettis which would break?
95%. If it's this point, because it is actually far away from here. So basically, about 95% would
Okay.
not break.
So in this, let's say in this blue region, almost no spaghetti would break. So then we have some region with some spaghetti. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Question, please. What was your falling height?
The falling height. Oh, the falling height. Oh, all the falling height in this experiment. It's this one, because the velocity is changing, so the falling height is changing too. But we have for this one, the determination of critical length, the falling height is 100 centimeters. Yeah.
No case it was higher than 100 centimeters.
Yeah. As you can see, we have already translated. We have already transformed we've transformed the falling height into velocity. We calculated by using the equation that we said we've neglected airdrop.
Maybe 5 centimeters, you get more than 1 meter.
Yeah, we have gotten more than 1 meter.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, it's 4 meters per second. It's
Okay.
higher. Yeah.
One more question. One question. The spaghetti always was in this way down in your experiments. Your apparatus is so.
So yeah, it doesn't rotate. It doesn't rotate.
It doesn't rotate.
No, it doesn't.
One last question about the Young's modulus. What changes if you bake the spaghetti?
What parameters are changed?
Elasticity or Young's modulus?
Is it harder or softer?
Oh, it's harder. It's harder.
You don't have measured it.
Yes, we have. We've measured the maximum force required to bend it. So it's related to the Young's force. Hmm? Yeah, we fix one point on a weight and the other point, and we push it, and then we measure the weight when it bends. Breaks.
Very short question, because you just used in most of your experiments you used just one type of spaghetti, as far as I understood. So could you state me what was the spaghetti? So what was the length, the diameter, and the material?
The length was 0.25 meters.
Okay.
So 25
The
centimeters.
diameter?
The diameter is 2 millimeters.
Okay.